안녕하세요. 2021 세종 스마트시티 국제포럼 제2세션 패널 토론 좌장을 맡은 바이브 컴퍼니 스마트시티 연구소장 안창원이라고 합니다. 이 제2세션은 민관 협력 기반 개방형 혁신 플랫폼을 주제로 하고 있습니다. 오늘 네 분의 귀한 패널 분들과 함께 시민과 함께 만드는 스마트시티라는 주제로 이야기를 나눠보는 시간을 가지도록 하겠습니다. COVID-19으로 인해
Due to COVID-19, social distancing or the remote conferencing have become commonplace. However, more than ever, collaboration with the citizens or with the international community is important now. So we have invited distinguished panelists for this session. Before we start our discussion, please introduce yourself. First, Sung Ji-won, please introduce yourself. Hello, everyone. It's great to see you all. I am senior researcher at Science and Technology Policy Institute. I am now project director of Korea Living Lab. And Mr. Choi Dong-yeol. Hello, everyone. I am the leader of the Smart City construction team. I'm in charge of actual establishment of the smart city infrastructure. Thank you very much. And Chang Min-ju, please introduce yourself. Hello, everyone. I work for the Smart City Department of Sejong City. So I'm in charge of the Sejong Smart City construction project. I'm very delighted to be here. Thank you. And the last speaker is Mr. Fernando Vallerino. Please introduce yourself.
온라인으로 저희와 함께 하실
So, Mr. Ballerino is joining us online. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Fernando Vilariño. I am Associate Director of the Computer Vision Center, Associate Professor at the Universidad Autónoma de Barcelona, Spain, and I'm the elected President of the European Network of Living Labs and all.
네, 감사합니다. 모두
Thank you very much. Despite your busy schedule, we have this wonderful panelists. Thank you very much. So now we're going to enter the panel discussion for J session in full swing. So first of all, I'd like to ask question. So ask question to the Professor Fernando Villarino. So the Living Lab network effectiveness is not the lining of the various living lab. Rather, the living labs are accumulating the universal models with the connection analysis. Do you have any kind of prime example? For example, related to COVID-19, do you have any various attempts made by the Europe's living lab model and also any accumulated results?
Kamsanida, thank you very much. Yes, particularly during the year 2020, we had the chance to globally share most terrible episodes of our existence between worldwide with the impact of the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus and the disease COVID-19. The virulence and the speed in which this pandemic hit our communities, in our case, made necessary an agile response of the institutions. And the Living Lab community showed a high profile in delivering innovative actions in short time. Probably I can present 6 cases that in which the community reacted. And these cases have been collected also in our website of Venom in the COVID-19 webinars series that we have done during the last year. First of all, Living Labs and the maker community had an intense response during the COVID-19 crisis. During the first weeks, you can remember, of the pandemic, there was a strong need of respirators and masks, and the network of Ateneos of Fabricación, particularly in Barcelona, Fab Labs in Barcelona, were able to coordinate a process for citizens' initiatives. They were coordinators of citizen actions in printing. So over 3,000 face shields were created in collaboration with the community of makers in Barcelona. This same pattern was replicated also worldwide within the maker community. For instance, the Halls Institution of Catalan Healthcare Living Lab designed an emergency ventilator co-created, in which components were simplified to the maximum. Universities from Castellón and Library Lab also donated their 3D printing infrastructures in order to develop these 3D printing actions. Another example, government and citizen engagement related to the confinement and beyond. We advanced the pandemic in order to control the movements of the individuals and the people, right? So, for instance, Taiwan Living Lab was able to develop here in Asia to develop technological tools in order to have efficient measurements of the mobility, oriented to have an understanding and a modeling of citizen displacements during the highest point of the pandemic, and SMEs contributing to the quick agile design of these solutions. Another example is the reaction to the emergency of the health systems. National and regional health systems suffered most striking moments in the highest stress of the pandemic. For instance, the network of test beds and living labs from the EIT Health reported deploying a matchmaking solution for innovators, like a hackathon, right, for innovations in very, very short time. Our universities also changed a lot, and higher education systems worldwide have experienced an accelerating push towards online teaching and digital tools, more even than other institutions in the world. For instance, the Media Lab Living Lab in Granada, Andalusia, has coordinated two specific actions, and I close with this. On the one hand, the orchestration of labs working in different universities in order to create public innovation, all together organizing a network, as I was mentioning, for social innovation in my slides. And finally, SMEs in Europe coordinated together in order to have social responses, particularly in Florence, Italy, in order to reduce the costs of the different companies for co-working and co-hosting, etc. These are just a number of examples that we have been reported and worked together in the European Network of Living Labs.
네, 감사합니다. 사실 코비드-19는
Thank you very much for your comment. Actually, COVID-19 has brought a huge change, a massive shift in our society. So to respond to this massive change and shift, many countries and companies are experiencing many things. What is important now is that now we need to accumulate the result of such experiments to advance our society, to advance our country. The second question goes to researcher Song Ji-eun. In Korea, and I heard that there is a Korean-style living lab. Can please introduce about the living lab network in Korea, the current status, and what are the improvements that the network has now and future directions? Okay, thank you very much for your question. I am the senior researcher at the Science and Technology Policy Institute, and I started my research starting from the 2010. And we formed a Korean network of living labs called KNR. And now, living lab is one of the buzzwords here in Korea. Not only in this city, but nationwide. So I visited many provinces and regions to talk about KNR. And then I formed the Living Lab network in Busan, Gwangju, Jeollabdo, and Daejeon as well. It was those were the regional Living Lab network, and we also collaborated with the universities. And we formed a university network, and last year we formed the Smart City network. And this year we have a plan to form a care network. In my activities related to Living Lab, I believe this should be, it requires collaboration among academy, private companies, and public organizations. We need the private sectors because it is about changing our society, right? The main leaders, the leaders of each field should be involved in this living network. So I thought that we need to make more practical cases, the practical cases that meet the needs of the field. In each region, we can develop the main players for the science and engineering field, and then when it comes to innovation, innovation should go together with the final end user. And there should be a collaboration and communication between the end user and the innovators. So starting from last year, the Living Lab and the Gender Forum, one of my core agenda has been and has covered even women. Women are very interested in the living lab and they are eager to solve the problems facing the cities. So this way we can collaborate with women and the women can be involved as the main leader in this living lab project. Even senior citizens can be involved as well. When it comes to the aging issues or care issues, senior citizens, they should play as a leader in this network. Last year, I joined a Living Lab Gender Forum. So care system, and we recognize that the patients should be involved. They are as a main stakeholder in informing a desirable care network. So with the leader of NRAC, we are with Mr. Fernando Vallarino. I'm very honored to be here as a panelist and to have this chance to discuss with you. It is not just about making something big. It is about our life. We should be the main player in this regard. So in RAR, okay, we have K and RAR here. So K and RAR is, as I said, one of the buzzwords here in Korea. Many people are showing their interest in the Korean Living Lab and the Smart City Living Lab. Those are not just the concepts. It is about our life. We should be our main players and we should collaborate with others. So Smart City should be the main playground for this to this end. So in other sense, I'd like to introduce more details about our Living Lab project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I also can feel closer to about the Living Lab Korea. So we all talked about the document only, the actions or series only written in document, but we really want to see the live document, as you pointed out, through the Living Lab. That will be a most efficient and effective, I guess. Now I'm going to turn to team leader Choi Dong-yeol. Let me ask a question. So as far as I know, you are leading a Living Lab in Dodam-dong in Sejong City. So how you started with this the Living Lab and also the promotion process, effect, or citizens' reaction about Living Lab. So before I introduce our Living Lab project, let me talk about this. Our city started the smart city infrastructure with the 3 different stages by 2030. As of now, our second stage was completed in the first half of last year. So right now we are doing the first project of the third stage of the smart city infrastructure project. So when it started this Living Lab, it was the second stage of our entire project. And in the second stage, I'd like to briefly introduce what were the detailed projects, tasks, mostly focused on the safety of citizens and also necessities such as traffic, transport, and security and infrastructure. And also, the service infrastructure building we did in detail. So those elements were connected to each other, creating the smart city portal. And how we started this living lab is so Sejong City and our the local communities started this living lab. There have been a lot of difficulties, also trial and error in the process. So let me give you more explanation about this, the projects we did. Why we started this living lab. So our citizens in the city, we have the more people coming in the city, and also with that there are various demands and from the citizens. Also, their demands has been specified in detail as time went by. So, but the problem is that we provided our services or infrastructure from one way, top to bottom, from government to the citizens. So we really want to see something reversely from the citizen to the government, starting from the building services to the implementation. In order to make that happen, we started a living lab. So the target area for living lab went under process at that time. We saw that many people they started to living in the apartment complex in our area, and also Chungi hospitals and BRTs, bus stations, and the large scale shopping malls and crosswalks were the very good candidate for demonstration of our living lab. That's the Dodamdong area. So targeted to the citizens living in the Dodamdong, we wanted to start the living lab. So we kind of recruited the citizens for living lab. About 46 people started as a citizen participant for living lab, starting from the identifying the issue to the needs identification to the service implementation. All this process citizens were involved in, but we also minimize the participation or engagement of the public sector. So 23 services have been presented as an idea, and after the thorough verification and review, we selected the 4 services for final implementation. These 4 services include the crosswalk safety service during the night time, and also crossroads accident prevention service, and also PM the notification service, and also large waste dumping prevention services. These 4 services are now being implemented and the services now underway. So with these 4 services, so crosswalks and also crossroads, when you go through that, the speed of vehicles have been slowed down, and also PM measurement was services possible. How? So citizens can download the app and install the app to see that the status of the particle fine dust and particle monitoring is possible, and also through the large waste dumping prevention service. So the dumping waste has been pretty much significantly reduced. So our citizen participation identified these smart services, and through these smart services, we were able to resolve inconveniences, difficulties that citizens face so far. And also, we really want to listen to the response or feedback from the citizens. So we carried out 2 series of the survey questionnaire, and the citizens of satisfaction was measured by inviting citizens. So mostly their satisfaction level was high. With the full score of 5.0, we were able to get the average 3.0 of the satisfaction level. And best one is that the PM monitoring service. 3 months later, we were also conducting the survey targeting to the citizens living in Dodam-dong, the area. At that time, we were able to get higher satisfaction level from the citizens living in that the Dodam-dong. In particular, the crosswalk safety services at nighttime and also crosswalk accident prevention services received highest score with a 4.5 points out of 5.0 full scale. So this highest the responding services, we really want to spread this to other regions. So for that, we are doing the certain designing, and maybe sometime in May, we're going to place an order for these services and propagate these services to other regions.
Thank you very much for your comment. I see, and effective progress of the smart city living lab in Sejong. And the next panelist is Ms. Chang Min-ju, the head of the smart city department of Sejong City. These days, local governments are expanding the scope of citizens' policy participation through incentives. For instance, citizen participation points. So citizens are participating in the process of realizing the services to be implemented in Sejong. Then, what are the specific roles of citizens and the effect of citizen participation? The District 5-1 in Sejong is the National Pilot City project area, and we have a goal to build the best, the smart city zone there. But what is important is to reflect the needs of the citizens in this project. Without reflecting their needs, we cannot establish a true living smart city. So the process of the decision-making process of a public organization, in this process, there is a gap between the citizens and the decision makers. For the smart cities, for the public services, we should listen to the voices of citizens by making them participate in the process, so we can maximize the efficiency of the policies. So Dodam-dong is an area where the living lab is successfully being proceeded. So based on the Dodam-dong, we are going to expand the scope of living lab services throughout the city. So national pilot project, maybe this project can spread beyond Sejong City, cities across the world. So developing the services by reflecting the needs of citizens is the most critical one. And now this project is now under progress. So various services and projects are being tried and implemented. Sejong is one of the youngest cities in Korea. So the active participation of citizens will lead to a success of various projects, I believe. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'd like to ask this question to Ms. Chang. Expanding the scope of citizen participation is important. What is equally important is to reflect the needs of citizens because they are service consumers. What is the Sejong City's plan to ensure participation of various citizens?
So we have a smart city promotion division under our city government. So the experts in mobility and healthcare and also citizens are formed this the division, and it's a kind of the multi-stakeholders governance. So with that multi-stakeholders participation, we can also create certain opinions and feedback. So so far, from 100 citizens, we were able to receive the feedback and opinions. But starting from the second half of this year, through the online participation, more people, more citizens can join in the opinion presentation. And also, not only through the systematic and an establishment or the policy, we also need to have actual the participation of citizens. So since last year, we have the Smart City Academy, which is the education course for citizens to learn about smart cities. And also last year, 300 the citizens participated. And this year, the 8-week long, the course is running. So a lot of people joined in through the off and online courses. And also this panelist, Sang Jin, was the speaker in the offline courses, providing very quality lecture. So not just the online education, online participation, we are also providing various information sharing opportunities through the digital archive available in the Smart City website, so people can access various information about Smart City, which will lead to a capacity building of citizens.
Thank you very much. She mentioned about a unique system of Sejong Smart City. So, senior researcher Song Ji-eun, so I think you are standing between the citizens and the researchers for development of Sejong Smart City Living Lab. What advice can you provide us? And if is there any improvement point, please share it with us. And any point to collaborate, please share it with us. I think I've mentioned some things to improve. Last time, though, I think I'm going to talk about a different story. In the past, our project, I mean, the direction about the conventional, the urban development project was different from the living lab. It is kind of horizontal type, not vertical type. It is about making something for God. It is about making for everyone. We should not distinguish between the citizens and the professionals who are researchers. If we are professionals, we are researchers. If we go out of this room, we are citizens in the city. Every one of us can be a professional in different field. We should not recognize the definition of a living loop in a difficult way. Okay, it is a simple term. Living lab and smart city. Everyone can be in charge of this living lab or the smart city. Everyone can be a main player. So when it comes to smart city, you should say that it is about eat, drink, or playing. We are the main character in the smart city film, right? It is a place where we can enjoy eating, playing, or being with others. It is about we should be more active. The citizens can go out with their children and to show them what smart city is, and then they can say that, okay, this smart city is made by me. The father can say that. Father can say to their children that the smart city was made by himself. So what I'm talking about is the citizens should be the center in this smart city project. 2030 or 2050, for our next generations, we should be able to say that I made this smart city. Okay? This way of journey will be very touching to us. There are many living lab projects going on in Korea. Most of them is just a one-time project, wonderful projects pursued by government. However, through the Living Lab project in Sejong City, some people say that now I can learn. I know what Living Lab is. I was very moved to hear that. Okay, this project is for our next generation, for everyone. So that's why everyone should be involved. We should communicate with the citizens. Living lab is not a difficult concept. Smart city is not a new concept. It's about life, our life, and the life of our children. It is about us. So this is the smart city forum, right? I have nothing to teach. I have nothing to tell you, teach you. I'd like to ask you is to just eat and play. Have fun in this living lab. This is your work. This is my work. Living lab is my work and your work. Once you are involved, you will recognize that it is a big honor because this is some kind of unprecedented experience for your life. Okay, being part of, being a leader in this living lab project. We need not the eyes of professionals or the eyes of companies. We need the eyes of citizens because they are end users. The eyes of women, the eyes of the vulnerable, the eyes of the senior citizens in their 60s and 20s, 70s, and the eyes of the disabled, visually disabled, or some people they cannot walk. We need to narrow down the scope and listen to those who are rather marginalized, isolated, or vulnerable in our society. That way, we can make everyone happy in the smart city. And this kind of way, this mechanism can spread to other cities better, faster. The Sejong City can be a demonstration area, okay? The pilot area, they can demonstrate this. That this is possible. This city can show that this is possible to the world. So first, we need to create our own story, my story and your story. Then you can make progress on and on. We can realize a sustainable smart city here. Thank you.
So what you said is that you make the smart city come closer to us. Now let me turn to the team leader Choi Dong-yeol. So you have been playing a critical role in the smart city. So is there any way to expand the living lab in Sejong City, which will be established by 2030, or do you have any kind of method to specialize the living lab in each region? So far, the Sejong City and the LH have been working on the second the project for living lab. So there is a consultation for that since the last year. So this weekend we will start the ordering, and maybe we are going to they recruit the citizens' participation by the end of this year, and then we can proceed with the second project of living lab. For this second project, we're going to reflect any kind of learning points from the first project, and we will also engage the general citizens, not only the citizen participants, regular citizen participants for the living lab. And so we did a carry out offline workshop, but in this the second project we will make the best use of the online workshop as well as the citizen participation governance. So we will encourage more general citizens to engage and participate in this living lab. In the first project, we focused on the physical, the infrastructure and facilities improvement. So with that, the specific region and small area, our living lab implementation is limited to a very small area and specific region. But I hope that in a second project we'll have a certain scalability and also universality. So through the building a platform. So we will push that kind of efforts in our second project. If that is possible, every citizen in the city is going to use all the facilities effectively, enhancing their quality of life. And in a service competition, I mean, service identification competition is going to be carried out together. When we are running second living project of Living Lab, I understand that Living Lab is still strange to many people. So people just demand that something they want in front of their area, such as some kind of convenient facilities for their home or neighborhood. But we want to see something that is universally beneficial to all the people. So if we select a certain service area, we will receive a lot of ideas through the competition. Those ideas and service, the concept will be presented to all the people, and they will vote for their preference. If that happens, we can enhance the service quality. So looking forward, our administration is going to work with the SEJONG City and NH. So we will keep working on the Living Lab by implementing the second and third and fourth the project of a Living Lab, spreading the Living Lab entire the SEJONG City. Thank you very much for your answer. As you said, Living Lab is not a temporary and the one-off, rather it could be the permanent and universal one. So let me ask question to the chair of Laredo. So how I believe that smart city and sustainable smart city is the buzzword everywhere in the world. So how should the role of citizens change in the future to create a sustainable smart city? And also, as team leader Che said, what is the plan to attract citizens' consent and participation in a regular and universal living lab, not a temporary and one-off living lab? Let me ask you, Mr. Paladino.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, after all these interventions, I will be really excited. I'm looking forward to strengthening our collaboration with SEJONG and the Living Labs in Korea. Definitely, it's an amazing experience to share all these approaches from Korea and Europe and the world. Looking forward to it, definitely. As I was mentioning in my previous interventions, Living Labs have a number of features, and active user engagement is the core. From the user-centric perspective, I believe it is essential to have the user in the center of the innovation process, but not only in a position to develop innovative solutions for and with them, but these solutions to be developed also by the users themselves. And this probably means having the citizens in a decision-making position. For that to happen, I think that it is relevant to include the citizens in the design phases of projects. Probably by connecting with associations of patients, consumers, and also by identifying what we call the alpha users. The alpha users are drivers for the rest of the population, probably the sparkling element of the early adopters. But for that to happen, I think that the public administration will have to admit and manage the fact that outcomes that are obtained through this participatory process, which is a joint effort in which co-design is an essential part of it. So then it has an implicit shared management of intellectual property, which is a challenge that we all are having currently. And again, probably one of the more unique features of Living Labs is that they deploy their actions in actual real life settings. These are accessible open spaces where users, citizens, develop their day-by-day activities. These spaces should not be closed. It should be as open as possible, not in a lab in a company or a university, on a ERD department, but eventually any space in which real life actions can happen. For that, I think that hospitals, squares, public libraries, streets of roads, as mentioned before, have the opportunity of becoming this place for actual engagement and decision making. If citizens and the users that are approached to the innovation processes are identified also as sources of ideas or data, then the co-creation process will not be fully deployed. As a citizen, I think that I wouldn't be wanted to be engaging in a process in which I am seen as a factor from which to get just data or information. I probably would like to be an actor, or eventually probably we could decide not to be engaged at all in those processes. So probably I think that this is the way forward, to understand to what extent we can include these decision-making processes into the governance processes of the governance models of our living labs.
네, 감사드립니다. 이제
Thank you very much. It's time to wrap up the panel discussion today. Okay, we have invited 4 panelists from home and abroad and to talk about the living labs in Korea, not only here in Korea, but across the world. So we share the current status of living labs worldwide in this session. Smart city is not a city which looks good. That should be a city where we can lead a happier life. We can have fun together, right? The Federal Price, Mr. Federal Price said that technology is the answer. Then what's the problem? We should not waste unnecessary technologies for the problems that do not exist. We should build a smart city for people. We are citizens. Some say that the citizen scientists, which means we are competent enough to solve the problems of this city, to build a true living lab or a true smart city. So we should share the issues with the citizens, researchers, and professionals and public officials, of course. Thank you very much for sharing your time for this time. All the panelists, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.